Okay, today, I don't know if it's how windy it is, but let's try, maybe I'll stand here. Maybe it's gonna be better. So I am recording it from South Florida, from the beautiful city of Boca Raton. Earlier, I told you my story, but I briefly recap it. I'm an immigrant from Eastern Europe, born in Ukraine, to Jewish mother and Ukrainian Russian father. I moved to Israel when I was a kid. I lived in Israel until I was 21. 21, I came to America, to the city of Chicago, lived there for 20 years. And when I was when I turned 40, I moved to Boca Raton, Florida. During the pandemic, like a few other people, I really got tired of the cold, get tired of kind of like, I have a whole video about this, get tired of depressed people, get tired of gray skies, just crime, taxes, all this nonsense. And I'm pretty happy here. Okay. So today I want to cover kind of a topic that interests me. That's I don't know if it's going to interest you, but it's part of my heritage. I'm partly Jewish, and I want to kind of talk from that point of view. How do I see my Jewish identity, and what do I see? What I think about kind of the future of Jews in America. Again, I was not born here; I came here, but maybe that gives me a different perspective than some other people who were born here. I did not grow up Jewish. I did not do anything Jewish. I did. In fact, I was even raised Russian and Ukrainian. Right, I was raised in the former Soviet Union, so we did not celebrate. I did not even know I was Jewish up until I was 10 years old, when my parents told me we're moving to Israel. Me and my brother, and we moved to Israel just like that. I did not speak the language. Actually, funny, I was actually bullied in Israel as a goy. They called me goy. Goy is a Jewish word to relate to somebody who's not Jewish. So I don't look Jewish. I am tall. I have kind of blue eyes. Just broad shoulders. I have a very Slavic look, taken after my father's side of the family. And I was kind of bullied in Israel. And then I did my high school there. I did the army, and I moved when I was 21. I moved to America. Just because I think it's a bigger country with more opportunity. Especially I liked business since I was a kid. And I think it's like there's no better place in the world if you want to build a business, start a business, buy a business, learn about business, finance, banking, real estate, anything like this. I think this is the place. And I moved here, and I lived for about 21 years in Chicago. There I lived not too far from a Jewish community. I was kind of privy to the lifestyle of Jewish people. I even participated in some of it. I went to synagogues, I went to many Shabbat dinners. They were very kind and very accepting of me, even though I'm kind of half Jewish, half Russian. And and I discovered that culture, that I was not part of that, culture and history, kind of learned it deeply. And I would say it probably became a bigger part of my identity. I know if people don't know about Jews in America, so there was between 5 and 6 million people who are Jewish, who identify as Jewish. Jewish, not only religion, but also it's your ethnicity. So it's kind of like, if your mother is Jewish, you're considered Jewish by the Jewish law. And Jews predominantly urban people, just the way we grew up in Europe. That's where the majority of Jews came from. Some of them came from Middle East. They call Sephardi Jews. There's Ashkenazi Jews, people came from Europe. History in America, it started coming here in big numbers about 150 years ago. First from Germany, and then it started coming from Eastern Europe, especially in the late 1900s, early 20th century. And it predominantly started being settled, like most immigrants in New York. And from there, they kind of spread to other parts of the country. So there's a big Jewish population in New York, in Chicago, in LA, and kind of South Florida. So where I live right now, Miami, Hollywood, Boca Raton. So probably I would say out of 6 million Jews in America, probably a good chunk lives in those four places, probably about maybe 70%. So New York, Miami area, Los Angeles, and kind of like Midwest, Chicago, which is Midwest is probably the smallest. So Jews came here. They were pretty much discriminated. There's discriminated against by the American society. It used to be a quota. Being accepted to universities where they can live, where they can buy. They're definitely not as badly discriminated as Black people, but they were discriminated. I saw pictures from the South. I think they would say no Jews, no Blacks sitting here. So, when it was the time for civil rights movement, and many Jewish people joined the civil movement for rights of African Americans, and were very much advocated for them. Just culturally, Jewish people are, for the most part, very educated. And if you look at it, they have the highest, if you look by different ethnic groups, they have one of the highest incomes per household in America, just because of education. together with Asian people, and specifically Indian and Chinese, because I think we kind of subscribe to the same, very similar values, which is education, family, and community. We help each other, and kind of we really, like a lot of kind of negative social behavior, whether it's drinking, drug use, infidelity, is really looked down upon. Even kids out of wedlock, this kind of stuff. I'm sure it happens, but percentage-wise, it's a lot smaller than in general population. I think if you put this all together, it kind of accounts for success, throughout the 150 years that we're in America. Now, the interesting thing here is basically in the last probably 4 years, I became concerned about the future, Jewish future in America, and I'll tell you why. I think after October 7th, there's a lot of negative feelings. I call it anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism. It came to surface. It really freaked out a lot of my Jewish friends. Just talking to them, about this, and seeing how they feel. Oh my God, they don't understand us. They betrayed us. We walked to them, on different social causes, and now we're left alone, left behind. So a lot of people, especially when I lived in Chicago, it used to be a very liberal town. It's called the town of Evanston. We used to call it the San Francisco of Midwest. It's a very highly educated town, home to Northwestern University, and I have a lot of friends who are very liberal. Take any liberal cause. Whether it's climate change, whether it's Black Lives Matter, Me Too, environment, anything that would be just a pro-immigrant, they would be right there on the barricades. Now, those people I talk to, and I still have a lot of friends in Chicago, they're very concerned about what's happening because they feel like they identify themselves as liberals, part of the Democratic Party, and they kind of lost that identity, or significantly, it was put in doubt whether those people are with them or not. Non-Jewish, whether they support them or not. They've been the Jewish identity. It's what people maybe don't understand. Like it's very hard to be. I'm sure some people don't identify with Israel, but I think probably 70%, 60, 70% strongly identify with Israel, especially the older generation. So people like, in their 50s, 60s, 50s, 40s, even 30s. I think the big cut starts with under 30. I think they're less identified with Israel among Jews, but for the most part, Jewish people are very identified with Israel. And kind of attack, and basically, we see the Israelis see themselves as Israelis, and Jews see like, oh, we were attacked, and now we just responded. I think response was terrible. It was really. I'm not supporting it. I think it was awful things that were done there, and I completely, not supporting of a lot of those things. But there was an attack, and there was a response where, definitely was, I think, more than a disproportionate response. But what you have to keep in mind, and I'm saying this as a guy who served in the Israeli army, our enemy, right? I say our enemy, right? An enemy of Israel was Hamas, whose kind of like war plan is to hide among civilians and basically shoot from churches, from mosques. From hospitals. They had their headquarters in the hospital. So it's all true. So they embed themselves in population. They used Palestinians, and I have a lot of friends who are Palestinians. They don't like Hamas, but they're afraid to speak out because they're going to be killed, tortured, killed. Their family will be killed and tortured, so forth, so on. So I think a lot of that narrative got lost, and a lot of Jewish people are concerned. They look around, it's like, whoa, really? We Israel got attacked. We feel insecure. And from both, and we get attacked from left and right. You listen to, Candace Owens, you listen to Tucker Carlson, you listen. Now, some things that they say are true. That's correct. I'm not going to go into there, but a lot of this conspiracy theories, a lot of stuff I hear on YouTube is conspiracy theories, but my bottom line is I don't want to go into conspiracy theories and all the negative stuff. I just want to kind of express how the sentiment of Jewish people, that I live among them here in Boca Raton. I lived among them in Chicago. Very concerned. And the big question is, what is the future of Jews in America? That's the question. That's the theme of this video. And honestly, I don't think it's a very good future. I think it's pretty grim. And the reason being is that I think people who are visibly Jewish, there are going to be few types of people. There are going to be three types of people specifically. People who are visibly Jewish, let's say they wear the yarmulke, they wear the kippah, they have the beard, or they have the hat, or maybe they identify themselves, they keep the Sabbath, they keep kosher, they go to synagogue often, they send their kids to Jewish schools. Those people live in insular communities, and for the most part, they're going to be okay. I don't see that they're very devoted to Israel because Israel is part of the prayers, part of their lifestyle. So those people probably represent 20% of the Jews in America. And they're going to be very much devoted to that lifestyle and to Israel. So I don't see them changing their opinion or doing anything differently. Now, there is, maybe another 20% on the other end, like couldn't care about Israel, couldn't care about Judaism. It's all like a very like loose cultural term for them. Somebody, let's say, who was maybe 100 years of Italian or Irish origin. Yeah, my great grandfather came from Eastern Europe. He is, this, it was Irish, but like I really don't identify. That's it. Okay, so we have 20% on the very, very conservative, 20% very liberal, and we have this 60% in the middle, which is the majority of Jews in Israel. Majority of Jews in the United States, and I think they're going to be faced with the dilemma: do I keep my Judaism, my Jewish identity? Do I celebrate some holidays? Do I speak about Israel, or do I kind of hide it and go underground? Now, we have a history of Jewish people have thousands of years of a history of hiding their identity, whether it's from Inquisition, whether it's from Nazis, whether it's from Russian Soviet Communist Party. But we have this identity, and that's what people don't realize. Jewish people have this kind of trauma, this generational trauma that's been going on for years, just because of the endless persecution that's been with us for thousands of years. Okay, for various reasons. Again, we're not going to go there into why the persecution. I have Christian friends that have other theories about why it's happening, but basically so everything that happened in the last 3 years since October 7th evoked those very strong trauma feelings from the past, from the collective Jewish unconsciousness, if I may use it, from the Jewish DNA, and it evoked those. And I think the feeling here is a feeling of concern. And the big question is America still our home? Is America a place where we can raise our children, with Jewish identity? Is there we can walk the streets proudly, streets of New York, streets of LA, being a Jew, we're in Yarmulke? Is it okay where I can talk about my trip to Israel? Is that a place where I can, donate money to Jewish charities and be proud of that? Or it's somewhere that I have to hide my true identity, hide my passion, hide my cultural affiliation, and hide my religion? And what do I tell my kids? I think we're going to end with this here. We're going to end basically that, it's a question that's passing through a lot of Jewish minds in America right now. And I just wanted to share this perspective with you. And I'm curious about your thoughts, whether you're Jewish or not Jewish. As I said to you earlier in the video, I'm half Jewish, half Ukrainian Russian, and I kind of look at it from 2 points of view. Okay, curious to hear about your opinion. Thanks for listening.